Yeah. Okay. And that was like the first episode. We were talking about just everything being like just condensed breath.
Yeah.
You know, so you just accumulate, you cultivate the breath. And then the more you do that, it's just different things in the reality. They're just gonna, it's all dictated by that.
Yeah, for sure.
But not even just the breath, but just how each organ is like being taken care of. Like, and then how the strength of like the center parts of your muscles, like.
It probably is like this on a cellular level. If an organ can breathe more, then it's communicating with the other organs more. And then whatever cells those people represent get active in a way that supports you.
Yeah.
And then I guess then you realize like your job, like in a sense, like what you got to do to keep the flow circulating. Because if they're supporting you, you must be supporting them some way.
Yeah. Yeah, they're actually cells in your body.
Yeah.
Like you're just talking to different cells in your universal body, and everything's being a mirror like that. The more your cells you wake up, the more other people you waking up, just through the field.
Yeah, and then, you're probably just some sleeper cell in their body that you're communicating to in a way that, like if you were dormant, I guess, for a long time, and then you...
I'll take the dates in the water. I'll take it.
Good enough. If you're dormant for a long time, then I guess like whenever you come around, if your cell was dormant in them, they realize, they see that the contrast and like, there's a part of me I haven't been communicating with.
Yeah.
From the inside out. Like.
And then people, we getting to meet ourselves through each other.
Through what?
Through each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're just getting to know each other and how to support each other.
Yeah.
As a more holistic organism. And it really does. And it, I guess the more you're breathing, the quicker the manifestation is. You really get that feedback in real time. Just each thing you do to your body, you're gonna get something happen in the reality.
Yeah.
Whether it be, people buying products
manifestation rate, rapid.
Manifestation rate, yeah.
It's really, it's like the 3D printing speed, I guess. We just spiritual 3D printers.
And the breath is like the ink, or
yeah, sure.
Oh,
because that's what you're pouring into everything, I guess.
Yeah, like it is just condensed breath. So the ink, if you're 3D printing realities, even the car you have is your breath condensed.
Yeah.
If you took those breaths to make that money to get the car, you just 3D printed a car into reality.
Yep. That was totally the same as the womb. Like women are just 3D printing the template and pattern that the sperm has, that DNA, that blueprint, and the womb just 3D prints it into a baby, and like we're just doing that with thoughts, with our visual thoughts, and yeah, I really do feel like the more I clean the water, the more clear I can see, and it's definitely my kidneys, man. Work on my kidneys and my liver.
Kidneys, liver, and lower back.
Yeah, I know. Especially for me, my liver. But yeah, like because I know that belly water is always just the liver being taxed, and it creates that whole posture issue. Like the belly water accumulates, then my posture dips, and then it strains my kidneys, and then my kidneys are filtering that water. So then, like they're overtaxed, and then they start to swell, and then messing my posture even more. And then like the alignment, it's just the spinal alignment. When the things is clear, and then if I'm sleeping with clear alignment, and the breath is clear while I'm sleeping, then I'm just communicating, I guess, with the universal kidneys. and then I just, I feel like that's when the money comes. Whenever my kidneys, got a good, when they're supported, when I'm not damaging them. Or if I am, it's just...
And that's water, right? So kidneys and water are synonymous.
Yeah, they're a solid organ, so they would definitely be yin, and I would say that like that the money thing is definitely related, like to attraction, and kind of like the yin thing, because the moon kind of being synonymous with money or monero or whatever, like the whole M-O-O-N or whatever. And I think, definitely from my experience with the moon, like, and I guess its influence on waters and money, like every time the Scorpio moon comes, I either have to pay debts or people pay me back. So like whenever Scorpio moon comes, I just stay still. Still waters run deep. I just be saying as still as possible when Scorpio moon flows through.
Wow.
Or if it's a full moon in Scorpio or a new moon in Scorpio, like that whole month,
Watch out.
Yeah, the whole month I'd be just like, man, I know the paybacks are coming, and the more still I am, the more I'm gonna get paid back instead of like,
having to pay people.
Yeah, and paying myself, like hurting myself and having to deal with the karma. Scorpio regulating all that debt, and yeah, I really just I really feel like it's something with that moon money, Scorpio kidney energy. Like I don't know, something with that,
And your posturing is like behind that.
Yeah.
Like your actual, like your posturing, your spiritual posturing
is your alignment.
And so how easy can energy move through? And so it's just more responsive. Like the reality, you're just gonna be more synced up and responsive to whatever the position is. The planetary alignments are. They correspond to specific organs.
Yeah. Definitely. And then the people that represent them things are those energies, those embodiments, I guess, of those energies. You definitely gonna interact with them, remotely and then physically, yeah. And like we were saying, like everything.
And it could be supportive or like.
Yeah. Well, like I guess
dysfunctional.
Yeah, and I guess it's like kind of ultimately supportive because it's like letting you know like this is where you're fucking up.
Yeah.
Come here, girl.
Oh yeah. I guess all just really important feedback and data. If you're awake for it when you get it, then you can progress. But things could just be happening and feel random, and no one have any ideas how they're sitting, or like how they sit and breathe. It's just like really bringing forth all these scenarios that are just corresponding to that whole template being inside out.
Yeah. Like the way they say, way you do one thing is the way you do everything, and like the way you're still is gonna determine the way you move. And it really is like the alignment. Your posture is everything, man. Like it really is the physical, spiritual alignment.
It's wild how much even doing the breath work, like when I'm breathing and doing it, my back pops from the inside.
Right?
Like it forces it. Even if I eat a bunch and I like breathe, it's like little just spots literally in my spine and all up through my neck just pop from the inside because they weren't.
Yeah.
They're
just getting atrophy, right? They're just not you being used. And it's like you're just, it's so much forfeiting. You just be forfeiting like this. It just be like posture for it's like forfeiting the alignment. And then
opportunities.
Yeah. And just quitting on yourself. I feel like in a lot of ways, like just not correcting it. And then just bleeds into every other part of your life. The forfeiting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really felt that. Like I started wearing the back brace like 5 months ago.
Yeah.
I be wearing it in public and other places. Like
people always think like I work it wherever I'm at. If I'm like if I'm at Home Depot or something, they're like, hey, excuse me, come on. No, I'm just into my posture.
No, you're breath working though.
Yeah.
But it's taking months. Like my back's still cracking. There's so many things. Like the more I'm aligning, and I could even just go to sleep with a bad posture. I got to start over the next day.
Yeah.
Like the same things. There's popping and stuff like that.
Yeah. If I can't sleep on my back, then it's almost like I didn't sleep. For me, I don't know, because if I sleep on my side, then I know like my liver's just going through it, and I just need the blood to be on that side, pooling over here. If I'm sleeping on the left side, then my colon must be needing the blood.
Then your colon's sleeping on the left side.
Yeah.
Like it's not even you. It's not even Taylor sleeping on his left side, but the colon is just doing that.
Yeah, and then just like the tree of life shit too. Like, then all the blood is concentrated in Het Heru, the imaginative faculty. When all of my blood and all this focus is on my descending colon, or if it's in my liver, then Harakuti, the executive faculty, is getting all the blood and consciousness and just like then I just over behave from them places. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm over imaginative, or I'm just like over forceful, and vindictive.
And each of these, I feel like it's hella important because this is what I'm going through right now. Is just seeing each of these organs as personalities, like or Harakudi or Hedharu or Sebek or
Yeah, like
or
they're
Set.
parasites.
Yeah,
They're parasites of Heteru and Harakudi, right? Like, kinda.
Is it like a shadow side of them? Like there's a shadow side of them, and then there's a side of them that's actually operating.
Yeah,
You know.
that's what they say. Like the positive benefits of the imaginative faculty for Heteru, and then the negatives would be just like being too dreamy
Yeah.
and being too aloof, you know. And so yeah, they got their shadow and light side, and then they got their external, because like Heteru is balanced by Sebek, you know, Sebek being the auditory thought on the right side, and the ascending colon is synonymous with the left brain. So it's just like they're the same spot in reflexology. And then this, you know, the Heteru, the imaginative faculty, you know, everything being like a flux capacitor being counted, you know what I mean? The right brain being left body. You know, the imaginative faculty in the right brain is the descending colon. Like they're not separate things.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just that light and dark and balancing the auditory and then the imaginative, and then once you have that complete, then all set will express itself fully.
These are personalities.
Yeah,
Like
and
these are each
faculties in the body of personalities, however, and then they have their own parasites if you're not consciously communicating. You know, it don't have to be the same names. You know, if you use a different tree or whatever,
but the same haiku or the same
sound.
mantra, the same sound.
Yeah, I feel like the sounds are definitely, because that's really the real name.
And that's what brings it out. Like it really be bringing out the God aspects from each individual spot based on whatever sound.
Yeah, and it's just more concise. Like instead of saying like like with Tahuti is like, when all my thoughts, feelings, and actions reflect the word of God, then a peace that nothing can disturb, and the power of God's wisdom shall flow through my being. Like instead of saying all of that, instead of saying Tahuti, you just saying hung. You know,
like in a deep,
yeah. And then some people say ku, like, you know, they say ku is also synonymous, but either way, like, it's just to boil it down into like just one syllable, and it just, you know, and then your body can really just vibrate that spot. It's just so much more, it's less waste, you know. And but I definitely like it all though.
Well, but you really balancing out, and you're learning, and you're drawing out these really divine aspects. Like, and just, if it was, because I'm looking at etymology of education, and like education being to draw out the knowledge, or to bring out the information, but most education is putting it into people. But this is like a snapshot of how like you really can go and like evoke each specific energies to manifest a more divine self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And then and then if you know you're gonna just exude that into the population, and it's gonna change everything. Because you're really like overthrowing the parasitic government, and then inside of you. And then then other people, if they experience you, then it's like inevitable. It's gonna happen to them. And then like they're experiencing you in dreams, because your dreams just become more attractive. And then, because I know you probably get it all the time. People say like, "Yeah, you came to my dream." I was like, "No, you came to my
Yeah, and it's supportive. Like, so instead of parasitic and like organs taken from organs, and people taken from people, it's just really being that it's just gonna be everybody supporting everybody, as you're just supporting yourself inside out with that type of integrity.
Yeah.
You know.
And then the cancerous cells just take themselves out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, they're just gonna kill themselves.
Remiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's.
It really is like that. I really feel like if you get lost in one of those faculties and identifying one of those faculties, you might have your whatever your identification system is within yourself. Like, it's crazy. Like I was saying about dogs and babies or whatever. When people go into like that googly voice or whatever, it's like that's a parasite. That's like pretty much. The dog or your baby or whatever is representing the baby or infant child in you that you've lost contact with. So now you've like externalized it into a baby or a dog or whatever it is.
Wow.
And so now it's like it represents that in a way that instead of you communicating with the inner child from the inside, now you're doing it like in a more rudimentary way, like a roundabout way.
And it's all based in the physical world.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah, and then as soon as you can realize like, oh, I'm communicating to myself externally, like I'm talking to the echo, and then I think then you can start to write it. But like until then, you're just dealing with like the parasites of the parasites. It's like I was saying, like a parasite in your liver might manifest into a whole person in your life, and then because you already
And you're a parasite in their body too.
yeah,
Like
and you created the persona that is the initial parasite that attracted that parasite, and then like their voice begins to bleed into your head because it was already in your head, because it's not separate.
yeah.
And so it's just like crazy how that happens, how things kind of get impressed and imprinted on the body, and then the body starts to behave a certain way because of the parasites and stuff. Like
I see like a point-to-point checking system of false identities, like confirming like a false identity. There's another false identity, and they feed each other. They
Yeah.
keep each other alive in that reality, and it's like just a reality of people identifying with whatever thought there's a specific part in the body,
yeah,
and then it's really just keeping up a whole false framework.
yeah, it probably comes down to that trauma. Because like the body, you get, if you're in a traumatic situation, really stressful situation, traumatic, like, maybe Osar dips and is not at the wheel no more, and then it's Harakuti or Haru that's at the throne, and that's not the worst, but if you acknowledge it and realize like I'm operating from this faculty, this is not the truest identity in me, then you can write it. But people like the tree kind of gets flipped. Then the consciousness is like in the lower parts, and then like one of the other parts of the tree are in the throne. And if that, like I said, if that center has parasites itself, because like if you're given the power to Harakuti to execute everything, and that's the throne right now.
And that should be Osar.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Oh, yeah, and so when it's like that, it's say if you got parasites in your liver already, it's not just Harakuti at the throne; it's all the parasites of that executive branch. Like kind of like I was saying about the government itself, like how they have the elected officials, which are actually, part of the template, and are closer to the Tree of Life template, like, because they're representatives, like that people are using their will to put in.
Yeah.
But then you got the bureaucracies, like the FBI, FDA, ATF, CIA. Humans don't vote them in, so they're the parasites. They're not the elected officials of the people and the will of the people, so they are of the matrix in a sense. So they're like the parasite of the executive branch. The executive branch is a summation of everybody's Harakuti, and so it's like it's a wild thing to see in society. So it's really empowering though, because like if I change, then it's gonna change, and it's just just the communication with that organ, and it just gotta breathe. Everything gotta breathe.
It'll balance out.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Yeah, that equilibrium. And just being natural, and then when nature's taking over, it's easy. Like it just seems like it's just a really effortless chain of events that just naturally.
Yeah, it's like instead of operating from your own agenda, it is your agenda. It's your truest agenda. Like the universal will is your will. It's your true will. And like people, like I did when I came up here, living out here, I had agendas. I was like, man, I want to do this, that, and the third. And everybody that lived up here kind of like laughed at me. I kind of was like arrogant, like in a sense, like I'm gonna do this, that, and the third. And they're like, man, nature is the agenda, not what you think you're gonna do. You're gonna work with whatever nature gives you. And I feel like that is, but it's not separate from your true agenda. So if you just work with it, then you don't, you don't have to dominate it, and then you don't have to get dominated or nothing. So it's like, just the merger, with just not having or realizing that there's no separation, and then I guess the merger is, I guess it's kind of an illusion because it was always together.
Well, that's the split, right? If someone thinks they're in a separation, and then they think they're a personality, and from that personality can have an agenda. But it's not.
Yeah.
Because it's more operating off of beliefs instead of knowledge.
Yeah, because it's not eternal.
Yeah, and so to have an agenda from that place, you're just going against the universal flow, to where you really got to stimulate and really force and make things happen conceptually. And you can still make shit happen.
Just taxing.
It's hella taxing,
Yeah.
as opposed to if you denied that person, and then you moved up to the higher parts of the tree where you're the self.
Yeah.
And then aligning with that will instead of aligning with some concept of like what the personality thinks should be happening.
Yeah.
You know, like and it's just like we gotta tax ourselves, and like things can be harder, or they can be like infinitely more easy. You know, if we're coming from
Yeah.
that.
Then you got all that support, all that momentum, like the universe really behind you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like a lot of, and then the concept itself is coming from typically Sebek and Heteru in this area, the descending and the ascending colon, and then all set too, because the dreams, you know, all that stuff's being vamped, and then it's just like crazy subconscious impressions through the dreams, and then it bleeds into the auditory thought and the visuals, and then then you got these concepts being formed from like a very parasitic place,
and people identifying with them.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is me. And it's a trance of like thinking that that's you.
Yeah, like I'm the thoughts, I'm the imagination, I'm the dreams, or whatever. Instead of being the the architect, observer of it all.
Yeah, like none of them belong. Like I was saying it yesterday, and it's nice when I heard a lot like people say you're not your thoughts, and they use that
Yeah.
to do something, but you're also not your body either, because your thoughts are coming from the body.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
people be taking the body so personal, like it's theirs to have some individual experience here, but really it's hella collective, and you're really having your experience for
everybody.
For creation itself.
Yeah.
And so it's not your body even. It's not your thoughts. So you when we're not identifying, like we're just observing, from that perspective, you really can, be. It's not like, because I have an issue like with like letting God use me as a vessel to step into earth, like. But it's just kind of come down to my definition of God, and I'm learning more about it as a syntheism of like all these faculties all working together at once, and it's not some individual like to answer to, but it's really all these parts of our bodies layered together, working together, supporting each other, in our body, but just the same as is happening in the cosmos, from nothing, undifferentiated matter to yin and yang, tai chi, to all the way to all the forms. They're all being orchestrated like a government.
Yeah.
Like it's really just the same as the government you have is still a cosmic government, and there's different jobs that are being carried out by different organizers, organizing principles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's no separation. You know what I mean? Like I guess you have to look at it like it's something like it's really like not in a facetious way, but yeah, like your consciousness is God's consciousness, so it's only one consciousness in a sense. So if you're looking at it like that, then you could look at it like, however, if you're just basically just not lying to yourself, and not because God is the truest identity or truest self or non-identity in the body. So it's like, God needs you to come into the world. It's like, you need you to come into the world. Like, you need you more than you need anybody, because how can you? It's like if you're in a plane and they say, put your oxygen mask on before assisting others and stuff, because that's the only way you can help others is through helping yourself or whatever. And it's just, it's just the oneness of things. And then you see it throughout the daily motions. Like, there's different points in the day where you can take things in easier, and points in the day when you can express things easier. And everyone's going through that. Other people are taking things in. It might be coffee, and then you take things in, and it might be just water or coconut water or something.
Or breath.
Yeah, breath. And then the more you do that, the more you're changing the world, because then you're just like raising the sensitivity, and other people are going through them cycles, and your consciousness, you're not separate from them, because like we were saying, you're a cell in everybody's body. So if you're just vibrating at an alarming rate, then you set off the alarm in people, like, man, maybe I should change this, like, because you're so alive that you just become alive in everybody. And throughout the day, you just know, like, oh, this decision I'm making it for everybody. And we're all doing it relative. Like, me doing it.
That's responsible as hell, man.
Yeah, like, you're making them do it. Like, if you're eating or drinking or breathing or something, that the rest of the world is doing it relative to their state of consciousness. And any changes, the small changes all, man. And it's really, you just got to go through it so that you get more confidence, more faith in the process. Because then you just see more results. And then you just, like, then you get more, like, eager to change things in a complimentary way. I feel like that's it.
It feels great.
You want to wait.
It feels like you really leaning into something that's like,
you want to wake up every day.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't want to wake up before. Like,
You want to use every breath.
yeah.
And take advantage of everything you can.
Yeah, and then I feel like that's like the real inner child. The inner child don't want to really waste nothing. The inner child's like, yo, let's use this moment to play. Let's use this moment to discover. And like, I feel like I outsourced that through like my dogs, and even my brother at different points when I was living with him, because they are entities that wake up at the crack of dawn and they want to get up and they want it, and it's just like that's like my inner child, and I've externalized it so much, you know what I mean, and cut off the connection with it so much, you know, because it's just like that innocence of just like wanting to greet life, meet life in the middle and halfway, and go from there, and not shying away from it because of traumas and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just funny how I was doing that, you know what I mean, how I was like, man, I'm not getting up, I'm not wanting to get up 5, 6 a.m., but the dogs innately do, and they just represent the part of me that does, and I'm just using them, and then, you know, they're using me, obviously, and it's just funny, like, it's just a funny thing to see. And then people be doing that with their kids and stuff like that, because you've seen it, people won't. They'll be like, yeah.
Ideally, it's like just an impulse, though.
Yeah.
You know, it's an impulse that never left you because no one ever got to you about, you know, growing up, or you know, in a way that's like you got to let that go. You know, I don't feel like doing that is just, it could be the end of, or just the play, or just of life, you know, being able to be something that we don't have to wake up and it be a nightmare.
Yeah. If you're not living them dreams, waking up is just miserable, man. And it's just, you know.
You can't play, and then, in my bad.
No, so yeah, the child part of you is always just like, I don't know, I want to say it's optimistic, but it's the most virtuous. Not like stupid blind. I feel like optimism is what creates suicidal behaviors, because the optimism is like creates this person that's like, I need a reason to live. I'm not just like living. I'm not life. So I need you know what I mean? And I'm just gonna use this optimism, like.
It's very conceptual.
Yeah, and I just feel like it creates. You know, everybody else is like, yo, I ain't got no reason to live, so I ain't got no reason to die, so I'm gonna just be. But I feel like when people be like forcing the optimism and like love and light and all that stuff, they're just creating expectations and letdowns.
It's just more rationalization for the behavior.
Yeah.
To just get more emotional gratification.
And then just rejecting the darkness too.
Yeah.
Because darkness is associated with negative and all that stuff.
But there's optimists though. There's real optimists though.
Slightly
like,
sweet. I feel like.
I
feel like you just gotta be slightly sweet. You know what I mean? Like but when you're just getting like so sweet, you're gonna get bitter.
Yeah.
It's like no way. Like you're gonna get bitter as hell. You know what I mean? If you're being that sweet, it's gonna balance out. So yeah, you know, on the pH scale of sweetness, you know, high sweetness being high alkalinity, you know, I just want to be like 7.1, 7.2 maybe, and just being like, yeah, virtuous.
So virtuous, and then kids are also sensitive.
Yeah.
I'm like that's where I'm at, like seeing me being blocked off from manifestation on the level you're at, because I'm still numb in certain organs. Like you could eat certain thing and be going through it in your liver. You're like, man, my liver.
Yeah.
But I would eat the same thing. I wouldn't notice because I'm numb still. Like, you know, I'm not as much as like
somebody else. Yeah, no.
But even like 3 weeks ago, like I'm just after doing the amount of breath.
That might as well
fasting,
be at somebody else who you was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, because we breathe in every day and like doing the breath and fasting, and I really am coming into that. But it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of like pain I haven't been wanting to feel, and so or it could be a lot of joy that I wasn't letting myself feel too. That'd be like doing breath work and crying tears of either joy or like sorrow and stuff, just because I'm getting back in touch with whatever is there that I wasn't feeling. But once we're actually, you know, sensitive enough on that level, we're really life. Like there's really not much of a barrier. So kids are really virtuous and they're sensitive. So anything that happens, you know, they're really going through it. But then, you know, the parents are teaching them to just not feel that stuff.
Yeah.
Or it's just too much to feel.
Yeah.
So we start putting up, you know, we'll pile on food to create separation between us and that. And then over time, it's just we create a whole biochemical balance that's just equating with numbness.
Yeah.
Then we identify with it, and then we grow up, and then we can't. Life feels like we really can't do anything about where we're at.
Yeah.
But how this video started, I feel like we're really giving information on how to 3D print a reality. And I wanted to correct myself too. Like the womb is the 3D printer.
Yeah.
The womb is the 3D printer.
Yeah, and I guess the prostate
reality.
too.
And but exactly. And then, but the mind itself is also a womb. So with the imagination bringing forth things, and with the breath being the fuel for that, or that'd be the ink. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
But you know that you can do something about your life, seeing the correspondences,
Yeah.
you know, in everything. But it is gonna come with getting more in touch and sensitive with your organs, or
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and then you just gotta get into that darkness, like you said, man, because like, you gotta get all the garbage out. So you gotta throw up all that shit so that you can, feel better again. You know, everybody's in that, like, they get into that same place. I think, like when you start detoxing, it's almost like the same way, like if you need to throw up, but like you're in that place where you're not exactly throwing up yet, and like you kind of feel okay where you're laying at, and you're like, man, maybe I could just stomach this and take it, but I know if I throw up, I'll feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people are in that place, so you got to go through that, get that out, and then then the darkness isn't so inhospitable to you. Then you can go into the darkness for your talents that you've been suppressing.
Let your eyes adjust.
Yeah, and you know what I mean, opening the inner eye more, and I just feel like, yeah, like it's funny, man, with the liver thing. That's when I really figured, I guess, like figuring out life, kind of, and I'm not trying to be facetious, but I really feel like, when I was going through my Saturn return, like that summer, like that was the most still I've ever been in my life. Like, and it was just like crazy how like life wouldn't let me go to sleep unless I did a certain kind of breath work, and did breath work at certain hours because the certain organs was detoxing at them times, and then I could just see like all of the little, like when I got like really light, I was like 168 pounds, and I could just see like how there's so much space between breaths. So then there's just so much opportunity to not do things, and to not jump to the conclusions and all that type of stuff, and not operate from places that's not my nature.
Yeah.
Like my liver was going through it, like, and I could just see like, damn, I operate from this rage in my liver, like at these points in the day, and in these certain circumstances underneath these triggers, I'm operating from here, and it just was like, I really had to just be in darkness more, be more still, and I just really, that was the most I did nothing, kind of. I was just like on juices and coconut water, and just like taking walks and stuff, and reading, because like it felt like I just didn't want to like ruffle the feathers anymore. I just wanted to get to a point where
You really respected life.
yeah, man, and like it was like, I don't know, it was crazy because I could see how money was, the way I was spending money, and the way the whole breath and money thing was related. Because like I was spending to the nubs just to kind of see at one point. Let me spend to my end. Let me end the day. Let me spend all the money I got and just see how long it takes for this money to come back. And I was kind of just pushing the envelope like that, like where I was just like, let me find this rhythm and see exactly. Let me go actually just totally to broke. Let me go all the way to zero, as much as possible, just to see how I navigate from here and how this shit regenerates, so I can see the whole process, so I don't get up a bunch of money and not really, and then my foundation's messed up because I didn't see like where I'm leaking the energy at, and like I just saw that like life just continually supported itself through me, like as long as I just didn't do certain things, didn't operate from certain places, life was giving me like a pot, you know what I mean, whether it be like $100 every other day, you know what I mean, and I just have to kind of go through that one day of having nothing and just having faith, and then I'll get the 100, spend it all, and then go through another day or two, not having nothing, and I just kind of gradually, continually went through that cycle and seeing like how I can alter my behavior to adjust the amount of money to make the pot bigger.
The current.
Yeah.
To change that energetic current, and then you're changing your posturing. This is
Yeah.
you changing your spiritual posturing.
Yeah.
And then so where energy can flow through your whole life,
Yeah.
precisely how you're consciously intending it to.
Yeah, and it was like a healthy fear, I feel like, in a sense, like, where it was like, I don't want to lose this alignment. I don't want to lose this sensitivity. Like,
That's real morals. Like,
Yeah.
you're driven by, like, your own morals.
At that point, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Like, internally.
Yeah, because it's just like, I really looked at it like, man, I created so much damage by operating from this place. Just a really spoiled, bitter place. You know what I mean? Like, I was just really spoiled and bitter, and so I was just taking on mad sugar on my liver, and it was just creating mad alcohol, and it was creating mad anger, like, over the years. And then actually drinking alcohol just bypassed the auto brewery syndrome.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just seen it, man, like how much I was operating from anger. And I didn't even realize. I didn't even realize like how much certain things was just like the liver. It was just the liver talking, like, you know what I mean, and whatever was in it, and like it's just crazy, man. Like how much like I feel like Pharaoh used to always say that the liver is like comes from the word liberation and everything, and I was just like, damn. So you know that's like part of the, because it's like the big filter and everything in a lot of ways, and I feel like I guess if your filter's clear, then you see life clearly, and it's clarity, and then the clarity is there, then it's hard to fuck up.
That perception is some real observation, though. It seems like some real truth in the observation with a clear lens.
Yeah.
Like
That's so jaded.
Yeah, the perception, the perspective is jaded as fuck. But dissolving
jaundice is
for real.
Yeah.
Jaundice as fuck.
Discolored. So everything I was seeing was discolored. Everything I was seeing was under that jaundice lens. Like I was just looking at everything jaded, and because my liver.
That's the personality, and that's limitation.
And then people seeing me from a jaded place too. I acknowledge that too. Like same thing with my brother, man. My brother, you know, he's an alcoholic and everything. I guess we all are at some level, but he.
That sugar.
Yeah.
Eating sugar, yeah.
But like when I was growing up, man, my brother was like brown skinned dude, man. Like looked like a Dominican, you know. And the more he's been drinking, the more he's like a light skinned dude. And people be saying like, yo, you're darker than your brother now. I was just like, yo, it's crazy like how he just depleted his melanin, you know what I mean, by depleting his liver.
Damn.
You know what I mean? And because his like the skin and the liver is so like synonymous. Mm-hmm. And it's like your appearance and the way you see are synonymous. Like the way you're seen and the way you see reflect each other. And it's like, you know, since I'm looking at life from a jaundiced lens, then life sees me improperly. And it receives me improperly. And my skin is not expressing itself properly because I'm so fucking bitter and taking on alcohol. I'm more pale. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely noticed in different times when I was like, 170 pounds, that I'm not my melanin doesn't have to stretch as much. There's not as much water on me. So then I'm just darker because like this is all like
pork and nest.
Yeah. So then it's like it's not stretched across, and I'm like, damn, this is probably like more my natural color. You know what I mean? Like because then my skin will be even. You know what I mean? Like I'm definitely not the darkest dude in the world, but like my face will be even, like a lighter brown, everything. And then it's kind of no question that I'm, and the people who know I'm European or European is there, but like it's like almost like something else. It's obvious that you know what I mean, that there's other features to me, and then I feel like it's easier to be received that way in a lot of ways because 75% of the world is of color or whatever. So 73 or something percent of the world doesn't consider themselves white or aren't considered white.
Yeah.
So it'd be really like that. Like the way I'm being perceived has everything the way I'm perceiving life, and that's my liver. So much of that is my liver, my vision, and then the dreams being associated with the liver. Like the visuals being projected onto that liver like as a screen, because it's the filter, it's the screen. You know what I mean? And like that's where the dreams are really being seen. Like it's being projected from the pineal into the liver, and then the personal body I feel like is seeing it. You know what I mean? Because liver is a solid organ, it's yin, and it's just wild. Like I've seen like the communication. Like when the communication in the liver is better, then my skin is better. And then like people see me the way they should be seeing me, and then I see life correctly, and then the communication is a lot easier because we're not like looking at it's not jaded. You know what I mean? It's not jaundiced. It's not discolored, and everything's just like even. You know what I mean? Like I'd be so blotchy when I'm like my skin don't be even. My knees be dark, my elbows be darker. It's not even.
I see some blotches sometimes.
Yeah, and it's like you just know you could be communicating so much more clearly. The more you know what I mean. The more the liver is cleared and the skin just vibrates, and then
the communication is health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, communication, chemistry. It's all like it's it. That's it.
Okay, and so probably to wrap it up, so milk thistle.
Yeah.
For the liver. And is there an order that you would know off top to where? Because I've heard of you detox one organ, toxins go to the next one. So there's like an order of organs. Is there like some organs you would want to do before the liver?
I mean, I guess if you're gonna do up the chain, then you would just do like pancreas, stomach, gallbladder would be after. So if you supported the pancreas and your stomach and your gallbladder, then you're kind of getting the before and the after of the liver, and then from that point on, then you just got your large intestine, small intestine, and colon. So it's just gonna go down the chain.
And then, could you name an herb for each of those on the chain?
from the pancreas on out. Yeah, I mean, definitely burdock. You know what I mean? And you know, I guess ginger sparingly, depends on who you are and stuff, for your gut, for your stomach or whatever. And then for your gallbladder, the wormwood, black walnut. For the oils in the liver, you know, sometimes that's the issue. The processing is that the oils get tapped out, and then the oil from wormwood and the oil from the black walnut aid the liver and the gallbladder oils. And some people use you know, things like not activated, like what's it called? Apple cider vinegar for the gallbladder, but it's like harsh. It's way more harsh on your lining than something like wormwood or black walnut or you know, rhubarb root, yellowdock for your intestines and colon, and it's so many I gotta think of. So many things. Sarsaparilla would help too. Quassia.
The colon and
Well, for the liver, the sarsaparilla, the quassia, any cloves, red clover. It's just so many I have to kind of think about.
yeah. What we'll do is we'll write it down. I've seen pictures before too, but we could probably get a new one of like each organ.
Yeah.
With just a little list next to it.
I guess you could leave it in the comments too. I don't know. But
yeah, we'll put it in the comments. We'll just type it in.
I did, but like you were saying, the imagery too.
Yeah, we can get an image. We can put the image up on Patreon. We'll put the image on Patreon, but we can put in comments just a little list.
Okay.
For each organ.
That's cool. You can just upload photo. I mean, the images, like I guess like YouTube, you can put that post.
Yeah, we just make
feature.
a post on
Cool.
Patreon.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So cool. So if you haven't hopped on Patreon, think about it. We're on there. And anything else?
Man, nah. I guess we got so much to say to this.
Yeah, we'll keep it going.
Yeah.
Just more stuff for YouTube, but yeah. Let's get this brush session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it in.
Cool.